I got my reindeer antlers on today. They do have jingle bells on them. So if you hear some jingling, it's not Santa's sleigh. It's a little early for that. It's just me. Thanks for kicking it with Kari today. If you have tuned in before, welcome to Kari's Corner. I'm Kari, and this is my very pink corner. I'm going to start today's show off with a few fun holiday facts because it is the most wonderful time of year. Fact number 1, if you did purchase all 12 gifts from the 12 days of Christmas, can you all sing that? Can you all list all 12 days of Christmas? I know I can. Anyway, if you purchased all 12 of those gifts, you would be spending quite a bit of money. The most expensive thing on the list is not 5 gold rings. It's not even the partridge and the pear tree. Nope. 7 swans a swimming is going to cost you around 6,300 American dollars. Yeah. And who's to say the swans would actually swim and not fly away? So you also have a risk there with your $6,300. Holy smokes. All right, second fun fact. Did you know, and if I have anyone from Japan who tunes in or watches, please comment because I really want to fact check this. In Japan, it is tradition to eat KFC for Christmas Day. KFC stands for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah, it's so popular that they have to place their order 2 months in advance. KFC, who knew? Another fun fact for you, I have been to the original KFC. There is a nice museum dedicated to Colonel Sanders attached to it. So cool, so crazy. It's in Corbin, Kentucky. If any of you accept positions in Kentucky, Corbin, Kentucky. That's your first KFC. And then finally, your final fun fact for today. 1 in 3 men wait until Christmas Eve to do their Christmas shopping. Come on, fellas. Get it together. Get it together. Well, all right, let's go ahead and start our test prep portion of the show. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to my viewers. Today, we were supposed to have a special guest from the PTE, and something's happened, so our guest is not able to appear on the show today. Hopefully, we will be able to connect with them and get them on the show at a later date. But I do still want to dedicate this show to specifically the Pearson PTE because there are so many of you out there that have questions about the Pearson PTE. So if you have questions, please drop them in the comments. We do have a host. We have the amazing Tracy, who's our marketing director. He's on there answering questions. I'm monitoring the chat so I can see your questions as well. If you just want to tell me who you are and where you're from, I love to hear and see those things. So make sure you're commenting in the chat. All of viewers, love to connect with you guys. So like I said, I do want to dedicate this show to the PTE. There are quite a few states that accept the PTE, and that list changes all the time. So if you want clarification, and I know that there are amazing, there are a lot of other organizations out there who do something similar to what we do at Worldwide. And I know that you're getting posts on Facebook and other social media and other places, but please know that at Worldwide, our process for verifying is we go directly through the boards of nursing. We do not get our information secondhand. We have an amazing licensure department and of course your case manager who is going to do their due diligence to make sure that the exam you take is the accepted exam, not only by CGFNS, but by the Board of Nursing where you're headed to as well. So I know you guys love to send us those screenshots of where things are being accepted and announcements are being made, and that's awesome. We appreciate that information, but please know that on our end, we do have to do our due diligence and check firsthand with the source whether or not those exams are being accepted. So I'm going to take a moment to make a public service announcement on behalf of our amazing, stellar, wonderful superstar case management team at Worldwide. Please check with them before signing up for your English exam. I know that a lot of you are really excited about the PTE and the possibility of it being accepted in your state. But as I've stated before on Kari's Corner, the only exam accepted in all 50 states is the TOEFL. That's the only one you can safely and securely sign up for, and you know it's going to be accepted. Okay, so please check with your case manager before signing up for an exam. Don't think that just because you sign up for an exam and it's accepted by CGFNS, and we will not process your visa screen unless you take the exam required by your Board of Nursing. And we have a whole big list of reasons that we do that. It is to protect you. It's not to keep you from getting through the process, but we're going to cover that next week. So with all of that being said, let's get to the PTE, all right? It is the most wonderful time of year again, but the PTE is all year long. Yay! All right, so just some background information. The PTE has actually been around since 2009, okay? Oh, there's Charlie Lynn. Hi, Charlie. Oh, and Sahid. Hi, Sahid. Or Shahid. I could be totally wrong. Like I've said before, folks, please forgive me if I mispronounce names. But the PTE has been around since 2009, 2010 with a big rollout. And like most tests, it's gone through quite a few changes since its original rollout, okay? It is put on by Pearson. Pearson is a worldwide company. They have a lot of different things. They do a lot of things within education with textbooks and productions, and the PTE is just a small little department of what Pearson actually does and controls. So in what pertains to you guys is in June of 2022, the Health Resources and Service Administration, which is HRSA, approved the PTE as an accepted English exam, okay? In August of 2022 is when CGFNS made their big announcement about accepting the PTE as part of the visa screen. They have now accepted it as a part of the certification, the CES report as well. Or not the CES, the CP program. But they have made, CGFNS is making progress and making changes as well as to where the PTE is accepted for on their portion of the immigration process and the visa screen process. As part of the visa application process, healthcare workers are able to take the PTE academic at one of 87 test centers across the United States, or from a choice of over 380 centers in 115 countries. And that number is growing. It continues to grow, which is a really cool thing because I know a lot of you are really interested in this exam, and accessibility to the exam is also very important, and the Pearson PTE people recognize that. So just some friendly data for you. You have to get a required score of 55 overall, and that is a minimum, right, of a 50 in each section. Those are the score requirements, and that's pretty standard with CGFNS and the boards of nursing. There hasn't been a change to that. The PTE is, I will say this, they are awesome at getting results back to their test takers. In 2021, their average return of when you took the test to when you got your scores was 1.2 days. Like, that is super fast. That is amazing. Like other tests, your scores are valid for 2 years. So it's standard if you're comparing the PTE to other tests. Scoring for the PTE works on a scale of 10 to 90. Okay, 10 to 90. So when you get that score report, if you're looking at it and you're wondering, okay, what's the lowest I could get and what's the best I could get? 10 is the lowest and 90 is the highest. So let's take a look at that really big question that everyone seems to be asking, but no one really wants to talk about. Okay. And I can talk about these things because I'm not a representative of any of these exams. So I'm going to keep it real with you folks. Is the Pearson PTE easier than other exams? That's a question we get all the time, especially for those of you who are out there and you've taken the IELTS 2, 3, 4, 5 times and you're still not getting your results. Let's compare a PTE score to an IELTS score, okay? A 50, which is a passing score on the PTE. Remember, you have to get at least a 50. There's 3 testing categories. You've got the speaking and writing, you've got listening, and you've got reading, okay? You have to get at least a 50 in all of the categories, at least a 50. And a 50 on the PTE is the equivalent of an IELTS 6.0, okay? Let's say that you can't get, if you've taken the IELTS a few times and you can't get higher than a 6, or you're stuck at that 6.5. Oh my gosh, I know I'm preaching out there to the choir. How many of you are stuck at that 6.5 on the IELTS? If you took the PTE, yes, that would be the equivalent of a passing score. So it's not necessarily that it's easier. I'm not going to say that the PTE is easier. I'm just going to say that according to a score equivalent, the PTE is not, the score you need is not as high as what you need to reach on the IELTS. Okay, so just some more comparisons. A 65 on the PTE is equivalent to a 7. A 79 is equivalent to an 8. So comparing the PTE to the TOEFL, I couldn't find, I know that for the TOEFL, you're looking for that 26 in some cases and 24 in some states. But all I could find really for comparison was an overall band score. And for most states, the overall band score is an 81. And 81 is equivalent to a PTE 54. Okay, so an 81 on the TOEFL is the equivalent of a PTE 54. So hopefully that explains to a lot of you this question that's looming out there. You know, is it easier? I'm not going to say if it's easier or not. It depends on you. It depends on the test taker. For some people, looking at the PTE, which is it is academic, but it's also conversational. It's a combination of a lot of really big things. So we're going to look at breaking down the test and each section of the test as we go along. But the PTE really is, we're going to call it like a nice salad bowl, nice mixture of all types of English. Whereas, you know, the TOEFL we talked about last week is specifically academic. You're going to have a lot of textbook and classroom, whereas the IELTS on the written portion, or on the reading and the listening and the writing portion, is very academic. The speaking portion on the IELTS is very conversational. Very conversational. So the PTE really combines both academic and conversational. So let's get into the structure of the exam, the overall structure of the PTE. What does it look like? Well, it is shorter than most tests. It used to be 3 hours, but it did shorten in the past few years to a 2-hour total examination. And it's broken down into 3 sections. Section 1 is writing and speaking. Okay, so most of you are terrified of the speaking portion, and the writing portion. Those are usually the lowest scores that I see. You get it out, you get it done, you knock it out of the park straight away. You go ahead and get all your speaking and writing done in the very first portion. So that is great if that's something you're nervous for. That's 54 to 67 minutes long. It just depends on which prompts they give you. That varies in the amount of time you have to respond. The reading section is 29 to 30 minutes, which is a pretty average amount of time across the board for all of the tests. That's including, if you come over here to the United States, the ACT and the SAT. A reading section being about 30 minutes long is pretty par for the course, to use some golf terminology. Section 3 is listening, and that can be 30 to 43 minutes. It just depends on which prompts you get, okay? So let's break these down even further. Speaking and writing. There are 7 different question types on speaking and writing. 5 of them are speaking and 2 of them are writing. So a fun fact that I want to mention here is that all PTE test centers are created equal. They have the same space. They have the same amount of desks, same amount of chairs, same wall decor. Okay. The PTE was very clear that they didn't want test takers to feel like one test center had an advantage over the other. Okay. So all PTE test centers are created equally, which is, I think that's great. I think it's fantastic that the PTE does that. Question 1 for the speaking portion, it starts you off and it just asks you to introduce yourself. It's a very short and sweet question, and they claim that this is not scored. This is really just to make sure the technology is working and get you comfortable with the technology. You are asked to, in these 5 different speaking questions, you could be asked to describe an image. You could be, which is very similar to like on the TOEFL, where they show you an image and you kind of have to write out the process. That's a written question on the TOEFL. You have to write out what the process is. Well, similar to, you're going to see something like that on the PTE, but you're going to have to speak through explaining what the image is. You'll have opinion-based questions. You'll have to listen and retell. So within the speaking section, you're still reading, you're still listening, you're still writing, you're still speaking. All of these things, just because it's called speaking and writing and that's what they're scoring, you're still having to utilize all 4 portions of a language: speaking, reading, writing, and listening. So that is cool that the PTE integrates all of those together really well. One of the writing is a 1-sentence response, and then the next is your extended essay response, which is an opinion-based essay, an opinion-based question. So I am going to spend a whole lot of time talking about writing and how to tackle those writing prompts and breaking down the scoring and all that fun stuff in a later Kari's Corner show. I'm going to get back to my roots as a high school English teacher and talk about opinion writing. So wonderful, wonderful. Oh, hello. Good morning and good morning. Yes. So next is the reading section. And I'm not going to lie, reading to me is the most underappreciated section, in my opinion. I feel like it's the least amount of study time is dedicated to reading. And I don't know why that is, but I'm starting to notice that on a lot of score reports. So come on, people, we gotta kick up those reading scores. Reading is so important. And the biggest aspect of the reading portion is comprehension. Okay. Comprehension is huge in reading. And I know a lot of people want to claim that they're practicing their reading by watching Netflix with the subtitles on. Yeah, I see you out there. I see you all watching that Stranger Things and you got the subtitles on, which is great. I'm not telling you not to do that, but to really prepare for a reading portion of an exam like this, you want to look at more academic type reading. So not US magazines. You don't want to read Vogue or, something like that. I don't read magazines. So whatever magazines are out there, you really want to get your hands on some newspapers. The BBC.com is a great resource, and they do a great job of reporting news around the world. So get your hands on some information from the BBC, log into that, read that, download the app, read that. The New York Times also has an app. I think it requires a subscription though. Textbooks, any English textbooks, online medical journals. So do some research on your field, read a medical journal. But those types of academic reading and making sure that you're comprehending those styles of reading are really going to help you with the reading portion. The questions in the reading portion of the test consist of multiple choice, of course. You're going to have some fill in the blank. And then, of course, one of the toughest things that a lot of candidates struggle with is the reordering of paragraphs. And I don't know why this is so tough, but the reordering of paragraphs shows true comprehension. It shows that you really understood what they were talking about, so much so that you can put it in order if it's out of order. So reading, very important, very important. So the next thing that I want to talk about is listening. Listening, in my opinion, is the most important. You heard it here first, right? We are given 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you should be listening twice as much as you speak. How's that for some wisdom on a Thursday, right? Listening twice as much as you speak. Listening is actually involved in every section of the test. I have a whole show I could do on listening and the importance of listening. So don't get me started right now, okay? But listening in the PTE is broken down into these question types. You will listen and then you will summarize. There's multiple choice, of course, fill in the blanks, choosing the correct summary, selecting a missing word, choosing the incorrect word, and then writing from dictation. So you'll listen and then you will have to write. Currently studying for your NCLEX. Oh, very good. Very good. Good luck to you as you study for your NCLEX. All parts of the exam are integrated, and that's what makes the PTE really special, in my opinion. Whereas I feel like the TOEFL and the IELTS separate really well, like reading, you are just going to be doing reading. Writing, you are just going to be writing. Listening, you are just listening. And speaking, obviously, you're just speaking. Whereas the PTE, yes, they can, of course, when you get your score report, those are going to be separated on how you do on them or how you performed on them. But every aspect of the English language is being tested in every aspect of the PTE exam. So in my opinion, I think that's great, but it can make preparing for the PTE even more difficult. Okay. Which I'm going to get into some great ways that the PTE has for you to prepare. But first, I want to talk about scoring. And again, I want to say that you need to get a 55 overall and then a minimum of a 50 in each section. So how does the PTE get your score report to you so much faster than the IELTS and the TOEFL? Well, the PTE has removed the human scoring aspect of their exam. The Pearson has developed and piloted this artificial intelligence, or AI, that is supposed to be really good and fantastic at scoring the especially the speaking portions of the exam. They have an accent detection type thing that helps it to understand you. So if you have an accent and you're worried about your accent impacting your pronunciation, they've built that into their artificial intelligence. So hopefully that makes you feel a little more comfortable with speaking and the PTE. I know especially a lot of you are still having to wear masks at these testing centers, and they can really impact your speaking. I know that having to teach with those masks, it was really hard making sure my students understood what I was saying. So I can't imagine having to speak into a microphone and be tested on my pronunciation while wearing a mask. So please keep those things in mind, that the PTE did keep those things in mind while they were building their artificial intelligence and while they're scoring your exams. Grammar, of course, with artificial intelligence is also going to be very important. So as you're practicing your speaking for the PTE, I want you to really focus on grammar and sentence structure. Okay. If you're taking the IELTS, that's again, or the TOEFL, those are things that you still have to keep in mind as well. But really for the PTE, because they solely use artificial intelligence, grammar is really important. And then finally, speaking within the allotted amount of time. So you'll have that message on your screen. It tells you when to start speaking, making sure you speak and finish speaking, having an appropriate conclusion in the allotted amount of time. So finally, how do you prepare for free? Look, so I'm super cheap. I hate spending money. So I'm all about how can I do this for free? So I've posted a link right here. And I'm going to try to see if I can also put this in the chat, or if Tracy can put this in the chat. But it's PearsonPTE.com. It's got preparation. That's going to take you directly to a link to download their practice app. So PTE has its own app and it is free. So make sure you check out that app. PTE also has their own YouTube channel. Pearson PTE has a great YouTube channel where they talk about a lot of things and all things PTE, right? They also have there's another program called Swoosh out there, and Swoosh does the IELTS. I'm not sure if they do the TOEFL, but I know they do the PTE and the OET. So Swoosh is a great thing. And Mondly. So if you're familiar with Duolingo, there's Tracy, always on it. Good job, Tracy. Duolingo, Mondly is very similar to that. And I think Pearson is in the process of acquiring Mondly, or they've already acquired Mondly, and it's going to be kind of revamped and all Pearson-y. So again, Pearson PTE has a lot of really great ways to help you practice for that exam. If you are in stage four of our immigration process, and you have not been connected with me, stage 4, 5, 6, or 7, and you have not connected with me yet, I'm actually going to put my email in the chat. Reach out to me. I am telling you, reach out to me so that you can get involved in my program. You have to be in stage 4, 5, 6, or 7. I have a 4-week program where I help you prepare for whatever exam you're taking, IELTS, TOEFL, PTE, OET, TOEIC, whatever it is you're taking. I want to help you prepare for your exam so that you can take it once and be done with it. That's the goal, right? So please feel free to email me. If you have any questions about Kari's Corner, any questions about ESL, I would love to hear from you. Love, 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 love to hear from you. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Again, I apologize that our PTE guest was unable to appear with me, but hopefully I was able to answer some of those PTE questions. The PTE is a great option. Muhammad, is it acceptable for nurse registration in the U.S.? So that's something, Muhammad, that you'll need to check with your case manager. It's not accepted in all 50 states at the moment. So the only exam accepted in all 50 states is the TOEFL, but it is not in all 50 states. So make sure if you've accepted a position with us, make sure you check with your case manager about whether or not the PTE is accepted where you are going. Okay. Sorry, I can't give you a more definite answer. But the PTE is a great option if your case manager says so. Next week, I am over the moon. I am excited. I am pumped and absolutely a total major fan of our next guest. We will have our very own Marlo Bench, who is the director of RN Case Management. She's going to be on the show, and she and I will be discussing the thing that drives everyone crazy, the question we get almost all the time. And it's usually, what do you mean I can't take the PTE? Because that means you're headed to a state where PTE is not currently accepted by their Board of Nursing. So Marlo and I are going to break down the process of and be here to answer questions about what exam should I take? Why can't I take that exam? All those wonderful, fun, plaguing questions around ESL and that pesky language exam. So I'm excited to have Marlo on the show next week. She is so amazing and an amazing director and resource for our case management team. So make sure you tune in next week. Same time, same place, and it will be the last episode of 2022. The last Kari's Corner in 2022. I won't see you again till 2023. But next week, same time, same place. And remember, don't face the corner, face the world with Worldwide. Happy holidays to all of you. Thank you for tuning in.